taking place. Let's go live now to our correspondent in Minneapolis, Barbara Plett-Usher. Barbara.
The service ended a short while ago, Clive, and I think it really set the tone for the other memorials that are to come, but also for the direction in which activists want to build the momentum, take the momentum that has been building since George Floyd's death. The veteran civil rights leader, Reverend Al Sharpton, was speaking. He was very forceful. He said that George Floyd had not died in vain. He said that this was the time to deal with racism in the criminal justice system. This was the time, he said, to take your knee off of our necks. Here's my report.
This is the beginning of a period of official mourning for George Floyd, but not the end of his story. A pause for breath after 10 traumatic days. The unrest that has shaken the country in the wake of his death seemed to demand a collective display of grief, despite the risks of the coronavirus.
Amazing grace, how sweet.
One by one, members of Mr. Floyd's family remembered what he meant to them in life.
Every day he walks outside, it'd be a line of people, just like when we came in, wanting to greet him and wanted to have fun with him. He was powerful, man. He had a way with words. He could always make you ready to jump and go all the time. Everybody loved George.
Like, he was this great big giant, and when he would wrap his arms around you, you would just feel like, everything could just go away. Any problems you had, any concerns you had would go away.
But this service was even more about what George Floyd's death means to the nation, about another black man in a list of so many killed in police custody, about beginning to shape the massive movement for racial justice it ignited.
I saw somebody standing in front of a church the other day had been boarded up as a result of violence, held the Bible in his hand. I've been preaching since I was a little boy. I never seen anyone hold a Bible like that, but I'll leave that alone.
The civil rights veteran, Reverend Al Sharpton, delivered an attack on the president's recent controversial photo op. But he was blistering about the violence of structural racism in the country.
What happened to Floyd happens every day in this country, in education, in health services, and in every area of American life. It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks. Let us stand still. You that believe in faith, bow your heads.
They were silent for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the time that Mr. Floyd spent with a knee on his neck. That number's become a potent symbol of police brutality for protesters. In New York, another memorial, seeking to build on momentum for change, promising that this time will be different. In Minneapolis, streets bear the scars of the dark days that followed George Floyd's death. Residents hunkered down, trying to protect their livelihoods, as protests turned violent, laying waste to hundreds of businesses.
Our lives are black, and we matter.
But the community has rallied strongly, creating a safe space to support each other, uniting against the forces that would divide them, determined to lead the country in pushing for lasting change.
So it can finally be the land of the free.
This has been a seminal moment for America to take a look at itself and ask in which direction it's going.
A very moving service, Clive, but the immediate focus after these memorials is justice for Mr. Floyd, and charges have been increased against one of the officers. New charges were issued against the 3 other officers who were involved in the arrest. They appeared in court today for the first time with bail set at $1 million each. The family called this a step along the road to justice, but they said they were aware that there could be a long journey between an arrest and a conviction. They also called it a bittersweet moment, and that is what this day itself has been for them and for others, a bittersweet moment.
Okay, Barbara, thank you for that. Barbara Plett Usher there in Minneapolis.